Hi, I'm Jack Quarles. I teach the course Negotiate Value. It's an online course about negotiation and buyer training. And I want to share a bit about how the course is structured, as well as the lesson plan, and also our approach to negotiation, which may be different from what you're expecting, and I think will be encouraging to you, especially if you're someone who doesn't really like to negotiate. Because for a lot of us, when we think about negotiating, we think about the high drama moments. We think about good cop, bad cop, or bluffing, or the silent treatment. These tactics to manipulate the other party. And while those are tactics that are used in negotiation, they're really not what drives success. In fact, you can be pretty bad at those things and still be an excellent negotiator. How is that? Well, there are two central skills that really drive your success in negotiating and also in everything that you buy and sell over your lifetime and the agreements you enter into. And those are the skills, the twin strategic skills of first, knowing what's important to you, knowing what drives your value, and then secondly, being able to identify and develop your options. These are so central, but they're overlooked. In fact, in many negotiation courses, they're completely ignored. They're not even part of the course. But here in Negotiate Value, they're the center point of the course. In fact, we've built the course around them. There are 4 modules in Negotiate Value. The first one talks about concepts that are needed to negotiate, and then we address those 2 skills, knowing what's important to you, and then developing your options, and finally get into the tactics. So I want to walk through those modules and the lessons in each of them right now. And starting off with the first module, which is called See the Surplus. So the point here is to master the mindset and the key concepts that lead to success in negotiating. And that starts off with lesson 1, the professional negotiator, which really underlines the importance of negotiating and buying in our lives. All of us are professional buyers and professional negotiators. Now, we may not control huge budgets, and we may not make big purchases at once, but when you add up the purchases over time, and when you also think about our investment of time, it's clear that the decisions we make about what we buy, what we negotiate, have a huge impact on our life. In the second lesson, we look at the main point of negotiation, which is not to get the lowest price. This is a major misconception and causes a lot of people a lot of problems, because the ultimate goal is to get the most value out of negotiation, and that is, when you're buying, defined as the benefit minus the price. Now, when you're selling, you need to understand what your costs are and what your margin is between the costs and what you are selling for. So in this third lesson, we look at a way to structure cost analysis and identify key costs on the selling side of negotiation. And that leads us, looking at the buyer's surplus and looking at the seller's surplus, their profit, to then evaluate transactions as a whole and to be able to look with a discerning eye in the marketplace and say, well, there's a transaction with high surplus and high value, and there's one with low value. And of course, the key is we want to be involved in the ones with high value. And then in the fifth lesson, we get into preparing for the next module. We do that by taking the concepts from lesson 1 and applying them to the most widely used and I think most effective negotiation technique, which is price anchoring. We'll see how what we've learned so far in the first 4 lessons really helps us to defend against price anchoring. And that takes us to the second module. This is called Know Thy Benefit. And this is the first strategic skill of negotiation, which is, as we said, to understand what drives your value, to really know what's important to you. This seems basic, but a lot of people don't really do it when they buy. The first key is that the benefit is personal and perceived. There's no benefit that's out there in the abstract or that's absolute. It has to be a benefit for you, and it has to be perceived. And then in lesson 7, we take a look at the difference between a feature and a benefit, and how understanding that connection and being able to translate a feature into a benefit gives you so much more power and so much more options when you're buying or when you're negotiating. Then in lesson 8, we see that those benefits are really pretty finite. There's a short list, and it's very helpful to see that list. We'll explain what that list is. It's short even if you're an individual, but it's especially short if you're an organization, because there are only a few benefits that you can really enjoy. So being able to discern those and to divide them up helps you analyze the purchase. And then the next lesson is about how all purchases need to lead to a goal. The question is, where is this taking us? What is this for? And again, this is one of those simple things that is often not followed through on, of clearly defining how every purchase, every negotiation brings you closer to your goals. Then in lesson 10, we wrap up the second module and look toward the third one, because The point of understanding what drives our benefit is to build more options. This positions us to develop greater alternatives, and that's what we get to in Module 3. So the objective for Module 3 is to develop this second strategic skill of buying and of negotiation, and that is to identify and to develop your options. So let's look at the lessons in Module 3. The first thing, and this is growing increasingly important, is how innovation enters into negotiation. Most of us innovate not by being creative and making inventions ourselves, but by the way we buy. So every time we buy or negotiate, innovation is key. And part of that is understanding the difference between a solution and a vendor. Now you can buy the same thing from somebody else, or you can buy something else from the same vendor. And there's a subtle distinction between solutions and vendors, but it's very important to make sure you're getting the most value. In Lesson 13, we look at finding more options. Sometimes it seems like you know the solutions, you know the vendors, but there just aren't any choices out there. And so we'll discuss some specific tactics and techniques to use when it seems like there's nobody else that can provide what you need. And then in Lesson 14, we've got some options. How do you compare them? We'll set up a basic structure for how you look at different options and begin to compare which one might be the best for you. Then we'll wrap up the module with Lesson 15, because what we have with options is really our defense. It's the antidote to almost every sales tactic, almost every negotiation tactic that's used against you. When you're in a position of having options and having abundance and surplus, then you can bat down the scarcity that the other side throws at you. And that's going to be very important when we get to the fourth module, because this is where the rubber meets the road. We want to bring home our learning and get the right deal. The point of Module 4 is to practice excellence, tactical excellence, when we're actually out there buying, when we're in the marketplace, and that will get us the right deal and the right price. So taking a look at the lessons, the first lesson of Module 4 is to drive the process. Whether you're the buyer or the seller, you want to be in control of the process, because that ultimately will get you better results. You certainly don't want to do it on their terms. And second, during that process, you want to preserve your leverage. There's so many ways, so many classic pitfalls by which a buyer or a seller gives up their option, gives up their power too early in a negotiation. So we'll identify some of those and discuss how you avoid those and keep your leverage and keep your options as long as you can. Then Lesson 18 is about helping the other side find their margin and increase it. Why? So they can then share that with you. So by helping the other side identify how to either lower their costs or raise their benefit, that gives you more to work with and means that your side can benefit more. Finally, we'll look at what happens after you get those bids. When you see some numbers, but they're not the final numbers you want. We'll talk about the art and the science of negotiating after you see the first bid, doing a second round or a third round, and how you can give the other party a way to reduce the prices or increase the prices, depending on your point of view, and still be whole and still get more value, but make sure that you get a competitive price and the right deal. And then finally, we'll talk about closing it out. You've worked that hard, you've gained this knowledge, and you've gotten to the point where you've got a deal you're happy about. How do you make sure you actually get that on paper, get that secured, and walk away with the most surplus you can? And that's what this course is about. So that's the course. That's the structure of it. How the course works is pretty simple. It's a self-study course. There will be emails that are sent to you every week on a weekly basis with the next lesson. And the lessons will include 3 components. There will be a written lesson that's part of the email. There's a video portion, which is the main piece of it, and that's between 8 and 12 minutes. And then there's the homework. I'll come back to the homework. The lessons are designed to take about 15 minutes a week. So you saw the structure. This is very well laid out. Every concept builds on the last, and so we can be very efficient in the way we learn, but you have to do the homework. So if you're looking at this and you don't have 15 minutes a week right now, then this probably isn't the right time to take negotiate value. Come back again when you have the time to do the homework. Those exercises are the way that you take what you've seen in writing and heard from me teaching and really put it into practice, and it makes it so much more effective in how you learn to actually do the exercise. So that's critical. And I guess that's about it. The next piece is to go to the website and sign up. Enrolling is simple. You just go to Negotiate Value and follow the directions there. And if there's anything I didn't cover here, you have any other questions or input about the course, I'd love to hear about it. So I've got my email address there, jack@buyingexcellence.com. Again, I'd love to hear any feedback, and I really hope to see you in the course. Are you still there? Okay, well, if you're still there, you must be waiting for a deal. And so let's make a deal. So here's what we're doing in the initial promotional period of this course. I just released the course very recently, and I am looking for people to help me in a couple of ways. One, by getting the word out there, and secondly, by helping me improve the course, give me any feedback. So if you want to take the course for free, now's the time that you can do that. Go to negotiatevalue.com. If it requires you to go through the shopping cart and you need a promo code, send me a note and I'll get you the promo code as long as the promotion is still going. And the only things I ask are that you send me a note partway through the course and just let me know what's good and what's not good. You just have to do that once, but let me know how I can improve the course, and that would be very helpful. And then as you're getting into it, and if you're getting value out of it, just think of one person or two people that could also benefit from the course and pass it along to them. That's all I ask if you take the course for free and enjoy this promotional benefit. So I guess that's it for now. Again, see you in the course.